All right, we are live. What's going on, moms and dads? Fade You podcast here, recapping NFL Week 14 leading up to Sunday Night Football. My name is Matthew James, and I've got two dads here with me. Kmart is here. Chris Duke is here. Kmart, did you just go see Santa? Did I hear that right?
Yeah, I saw Santa Claus, and I can't lie, I got pretty excited when I saw him come down the stairs because, you never know what kind of Santa Claus you're going to get, and this was a legit Santa. And the kid even looked happy until after the photos, Santa takes him. She screamed like circa 1990 for me.
What ethnicity was Santa, if you don't mind me asking?
And he had very beautiful blue eyes. So I'm thinking Norwegian descent, but you never know.
Swedish, a Swedish Santa?
Yeah, Norwegian, Swedish. Like he looked good, had a real beard and everything.
Was he jolly?
Very jolly. Okay. But he had just come from a break, so he had no excuse not to be ready to go.
Did he unleash on the Broncos? Did you ask him?
No, but I did ask Santa Claus. I was like, listen, I don't know if you get this often, but all I want for Christmas is for Debo to not be dead. And then on the way home, it's not his knee. Looks like a high ankle sprain, so maybe back for the playoffs. I don't know. Like, they'll do more tests, but I'm praying because obviously, the resident Niner homer. I don't think I've been that distraught since J.J. Abrams killed off Boone and lost.
The group chat was freaking out. The group chat thought his life was at stake, that his leg was broken. The group chat was not happy after Debo went down in a crumpling heap. So, well, Santa was jolly. You know who else is jolly is Chris Duke after the Broncos covered. Chris down 27-0. The cover was simply never in doubt. The Broncos had him right where they wanted him.
When you're going against the Chiefs and you have Russell Wilson as your quarterback, 27-0 is not a problem. And
No problem.
As they showed, he even gave him a pick six. He said, "Here, I'm going to give you guys 7, and we're still going to come back and cover." Just how Joe and I wrote it up. Unbelievable. It is just, I went on Nerd and Turd this week, and that was one of my picks. I went 2-1 on there. Obviously, it was my pick on our pod, and I text the guy, "Oh, well, that's an L," when it was 27-0. And you know what? That's why you never give up hope, and that's why we take disgusting poop, because when you're catching that many points, sometimes you get in the back door, right, Matthew?
That's right, Dad. So let's run through how today went. Good for the dads. Everybody is in pretty decent shape. Joe, who was leading our group, who was really high in the super contest, I think he was tied for 35th going into week 14. He's hanging in there at 2-2. Joe's going to need the Chargers for a 3-2 week. He did give out Titans on the pod Wednesday, which was unfortunate. We'll talk about that in a second. Chris, you gave out Denver, and it's is it a 3-2 week for I'm Cirked? All right, so a good week for Chris and Freck. I gave out Lions on the contest. That was honestly one of the most confident ones I've given out this season. 4-1, nice bounce back for my team after 3-7 the last 2 weeks. Kmart talked about Niners on the pod, and that was one of the more dominating performances of the entire season. Tom Brady, sorry about it. And then Neil talked about the Bengals on the pod on Wednesday. Good. Anyone have a guess as to what the steam was on the Browns? I mean, that line got hit all the way down to 4. It might have even gone to 3.5. I think it closed 4. Any idea?
Yeah, I heard a rumor that Watson was able to get a massage, so people were thinking it's going to be a little more loose and free, okay. But yeah, not so much. Just a lot of dinking and dunk.
And Chris, you were on the Browns plus the 6. I mean, you had some chances there at the end, and Watson just couldn't quite get one out for you there.
Yeah, it was. It looked like it was going to be closer. It was 0-0 like all throughout the first half. The Browns were driving. I thought, okay, this is going to be that tight, just like the Steelers and Ravens, this tight AFC North matchup. And Yeah, they kept getting stops. The D was great. The D did their part, but they just couldn't get any. They kept having fourth down, and they had fourth and goal to get us the push, and they just couldn't punch it in. They didn't get that, so we definitely had chances. I thought for sure we'd get our first push of the year, maybe go 3-1-1, but no, I guess it wasn't meant to be. And then Watson threw that pick, so unfortunately the Brownies. But we like to see that. Because like I said to you guys in the chat, we're looking at the home dog Bucks next week. Good job, Bengals. We're fading you next week, brothers.
Oh, man. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that. Let's get to this one first because it's the Thursday game this week. I went against both San Francisco and Seattle this week, thinking maybe a look at that's the biggest game of the season for both teams with how the NFC West was looking. And Seattle certainly was looking ahead to that one. Never led against Carolina and lose at home as a 3.5-point favorite. And the 49ers, on the other hand, beat the living shit out of Tom Brady's Bucks. So the look ahead is 1.5 for Niners, right? That's after everybody knows Purdy's the QB.
It just opened 3 on DraftKings.
And there you go. So what happens, Chris? The Seahawks lose at home as a favorite. The Niners dominate. Now the Niners will go on the road. It'll be Purdy's first road start, and they're going to be laying 3 in a division game for really, this will decide the division. If Seattle wins, it's still up for grabs, and if the Niners win, it's all but over. Chris, is this a snap call, Seahawks, for someone like you?
Yeah, absolutely. We always talk about how later on in the season, these Thursday night games favor the home team. Obviously, it's not that much travel. It's not like, they're not flying across country or anything, just going up north to Seattle. But I don't know. You have to ask yourself, could Purdy, I loved him at Iowa State. I remember seeing him thinking, man, if he had more weapons, then he's going to be great. I saw him in the pocket, and I really thought he'd be, I was really shocked he went in the 7th round. I thought he'd go in maybe the 4th or 5th or something, but that's awesome. The Niners got him, and he's just been playing great, and give him some weapons like he's got, and look at him delivering, and that's awesome. But I just don't know, is he gonna have that slump after? Because division, being road dogs on the division is a little tougher than being home being road faves as a division is being a little harder than a home fave against a Bucks team that's out of the division that you kind of just go and wanted to beat their ass. So we'll see. I'm going to lean that way. We talked about it with Cheese. Kyle, what'd you say it was? It was only 1.5 right now?
Well, no, I think Joey said it was, or someone said it was 1.5 before the game. And I told you guys, because you're like, we're going to be on the Hawks. I was like, if you give me 1.5, I'll take your action, but I'm not touching 3.5. And I agree with what you said, but I still might have to play Niners depending on what the news of Debo is. If there's a potential he can come back this season, I think it's a lift for them. But if not, what you said, road division, just check the weather. It's going to be cold, but no rain or snow in the forecast at this time. Purdy played at Iowa State. He's used to cold weather games, at this time of the year. So I don't think that's that much of a factor, but that's going to be an all-in game for Seattle. I don't think they can look at 7-7, and they're going to be thinking, shit, we were just in control of the division, and now are we even in a wild card spot? So you're going to get their very best effort because it's kind of win or go home at that stage.
Geno finally turned the ball over today, and credit Carolina, man. They were a circus under Matt Rule. And I told my brothers when we were trying to figure out our contest picks, if the season started over based on how teams are currently playing, I don't know if it would be a stretch to have Detroit for sure as a solid playoff contention team. And maybe in Carolina, if the Matt Rule shit and Baker and all that stuff never happened, Kyle, if they started the season over and you're telling me Sam Darnold is going to have a great running game and he's not going to turn the ball over, would it be a stretch to say that Panthers could go 7-10 or 8-9?
No, not at all. With their defense, I thought Darnold was going to be the starter going into the season before that high ankle sprain. But if there's any shot at his revival, it might have been a good thing because he got the sit. He didn't have the pressure of going out there. He's just been chomping at the bit, and he's he's truly playing for his career, whether it's in Carolina or someone else. And I mean, he's a phenomenal athlete. And I know I'm a USC homer and all, and I want to see him succeed, but he's got the tools. And, given the right coaching, I do believe he can succeed. Is he Patrick Mahomes? No. But can he be serviceable and be an above average quarterback? Yeah. So yeah, with those they still have weapons. Like if he had, McCaffrey to start the year, who knows if they actually end up trading him to the Niners. So, thank you, Darnold, for getting hurt.
Man. And, for Seattle, just on today's result, they have had a tough time against the run lately. And you saw Josh Jacobs go off for 1,000,000 yards against them a couple weeks ago. They gave up 223 rushing yards today against Carolina. Most people never heard of Carolina's running backs. Foreman ran it 21 times. Hubbard ran it 14 times. Blackshear ran it 4 times. So they ran it like 40 times against those motherfuckers. So last thing on the San Francisco-Seattle look ahead, if Seattle can't stop a running game, the Niners are not the opponent you want coming in. That's for sure. So let's run through some of the other results.
Thanks for that tidbit, Matt. $500, Niners -3. Go.
Right? Is that the narrative, though? We hear those narratives.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, they can't stop the run. Niners free money. So you have to
games in a row.
Be careful because that's exactly, it doesn't always add up. And that's why poop wins. I mean, look at the Jets today. Unbelievable. They kicked that field goal to cover. Good for the dads.
Great for the dads.
Thank God. Because you've seen a lot of teams not do that recently. When they need a field goal and a touchdown, they're trying to get the touchdown. And I was sitting at Carl Strauss because I had to pick up something, and my buddy Jesus, had to drop something off, and it worked out. And I'm like, God, will they play? Can I please just get lucky for once? Will they kick this field goal? And I cannot tell you the amount of excitement on my face when they lined up to kick a 26-yard field goal. I'm like, oh my God, are we going to finally get a suck out? Like, Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, was worried that they may not do that with the weather being as bad as it was. So yeah, thank you, Jets, for kicking. Sometimes kicking is for winners. Thank you, Jets. I think a lot of people will point to this as kind of the what the fuck result of the day is the Jaguars going in and really dominating Tennessee, winning 36-22. We looked at Trevor Lawrence on the road, Trevor Lawrence against the spread overall, Trevor Lawrence and the Jags against Vrabel and the Titans, Vrabel off the loss, Vrabel against the AFC South. I mean, every trend in the world pointed to Tennessee getting back on track this week. Instead, they lose by double digits. Takeaways here on this one?
I don't remember what day it was. Friday, whenever I texted our group saying, hey, like, Joe, are you still playing Titans? Because I started just getting this weird feeling. Burks was, listed as officially out. And that's when I was kind of like, I don't like this as much because he's been good at, at least taking pressure off, of everything they do with that stupid offense. But, it was still, for me, it was still Vrabel. They needed to win. And now it's, I don't know. They're kind of in a similar spot to where Seattle might be come Thursday night. But it was shocking. They're up 14-7, and next thing I know, I don't even remember what it was, down 10 points.
Yeah, that was a crazy one. I mean, the turnovers, Henry coughs up a couple fumbles, I think. Henry dominated the Jags like he usually does, but a lot of turnovers for Tennessee. Chris, do you think people will overreact either way to Jacksonville winning outright as a road division dog? And then Tennessee's going to be in the spot people love to back them as a road dog next week at the Chargers, who will kick off here in about 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that we saw it the other week when the Jags beat the Ravens outright, and then they go and just get dismantled by the Lions. So, yeah, again, we like to remind people, be careful of what you just saw. I don't know how much more we can stress it. Don't just run to the window with what you just saw. That's exactly why we just brought up the Seahawks. They just got their ass kicked. Niners just did an ass kicking. Be careful with what you do on Thursday night. So, yeah, but the Jags, that's what Matt. I mean, what do we do? What do we say? We love road division dogs, home division dogs. Obviously, Eagles couldn't get it done. The Giants couldn't get it done against the Eagles. They just look unstoppable. God, I love that fourth down. Did you guys see that? they're like 88 or 90%. Like we stress that. Why can't everybody master that 4th and 1? It's just beautiful. They get in and they fucking push them forward. Yeah,
unreal.
So, we'll see. I'm going to be taking a look at probably fading the Jags, and maybe this is. I know we said, be careful with that bounce back spot with Vrabel. Maybe this is the buy low spot for the Titans. We'll see.
Yeah, might be right.
Since the Eagles squeaked out the road win over Jeff Saturday, they've scored 40 against Green Bay, 35 against Tennessee, and 48 today against the Giants. I mean, they're going to be fat favorites every game, but with their touchdown efficiency, is it just – I mean, you don't want to be a week too late on them covering, but they just avoid betting against them with how they can score touchdowns from not just in the red zone, but anywhere on the field.
I mean, that's why I avoided that game. Like when I first looked at the New York teams again, it was like, oh, and it seemed inflated. Giants +7, but what you said, is what I've been seeing since that Colts game. Plus, they've been getting healthy. They had a bunch of cluster injuries for a while, but they're coming together. Defense is playing well again, similar to these Niners, and those two defenses since the last 4 weeks have been pretty fucking phenomenal. But yeah, it was hard for me because just thinking about the Giants, their offense is probably more inept right now than their counterpart in the Jets, and their defense isn't as good. So 7 points to me was like, it's not enough. Even though it seemed inflated, it just they still haven't shown that they can consistently throw over the top. And until you can do that against a team that can put up points and put them up easily, I can't bet on you.
Yep.
Well, I was hoping their defense would step up, and I didn't like that I saw it move to 7.5. I'm the kind of guy that likes it to get more poopy. I wanted to see it go down to 6.5 or 6. But when I saw it go up to 7.5, I said, "Oh, there might be some sharp money on the Eagles," and I knew I might be dead in the water with the Giants. But their defense just couldn't get a stop. Eagles go for it on 4th and 7. They pull their hogs out and they get in that guy instead of knocking Devontae out. He goes for the interception. He just waltzes in and takes the 21-0 lead. I knew right there, man, these Eagles are just. I love that the coach is running down the sideline. He's fired up. So that team is just young and energized, and it looks like Hurts is dialed, so they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. But I'll be probably fading them come playoff time.
Well, here's one for you next week, Chris. So the Eagles, they're at Chicago next week, right? They're laying a touchdown on the road. You can't bet.
Is that all it is? I was going to ask you guys, what is it? I thought it would be over like closer to 10. Is it only 7 or 8?
8.5 is what Westgate opened today. The following week, so this week, week 15, Philly's at Chicago. Next week, Christmas Eve at Dallas. I wonder if this is a little bit of a trap spot for Philly. Got to go play against the shitty Bears, and then they have the Cowboys game next week in Dallas. I wonder if it could be a little bit of a trap spot there for Philly. Looking ahead, we shall see. We'll talk more about that on Wednesday. Other ones, just to run through a few real quick. The Lions are going to be everybody's darling, right? Lions are off of a bunch of covers in a row, a few wins in a row.
5 straight wins or something too? 4 straight?
Well, I think the one loss was the Thanksgiving game against Buffalo.
Oh,
but
right.
I think it's 5 covers in a row.
You're right.
And if Buffalo doesn't go down the field.
5-1 their last 6. Wow.
Man. So everybody's going to be loving them some Lions. That's an interesting one next week. I think it's Lions
at the Jets. What's that
Jets?
Be? Interesting.
It's pick. Man, I think the look ahead was Jets -3. Jets lose.
What's the news on Mike White?
God, he died a couple times today. Flacco comes in and fumbles immediately on the first play. He gets stripped and fumbles. We thought we were several times thinking we were dead, and Mike White just kept coming back in, man. Did it just enough to go get him in field goal position.
That's very interesting because 2 teams that are overachieving right now, and what do you do with that line? I mean,
well, right in the playoff hunt too. I mean, that's a huge game for both of those teams. Wow. What else? Who have we not touched on yet? How about Dallas squeaking out the win? Poop Chris, bet poop, Texans all the way, never,
Shout
ever
out to
in
Chris and
danger.
Neil, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's kinda
Joe
what
did
happened
it
with that
too.
one.
I couldn't believe Joe and Red put it in too. That's funny. Riley,
Neil started.
we had
Go
our
ahead, Chris.
4, and I said, I want a 5th. Give me a 5th. Because we agreed on Broncos and Browns and all these others. And he says, all right, you want shit? I'll sling it in your face. He says, take the Texans. And I snap called, said, okay. And sure enough, that was like the easiest play of the day. Who would have thunk it, right?
That's
Wow.
great. You were right, man.
Well, so looking at it next week, Houston's going to be catching 2 touchdowns again because they're hosting the Chiefs off of their non-cover at Denver. And then the Cowboys are going to Jacksonville, which, again, we just talked about it with the Eagles. Dallas has host Philly on Christmas Eve. So this week is kind of a tough game for them where they've got to travel and go play in Jacksonville in an away game. I don't know. If you believe in look-aheads and trap spots like that, those are maybe 2 to keep an eye on. So we'll have to see where the dads come in on those. Really, anything else to touch on? I guess we could go back and we could talk about the Raiders and the Rams game. Do the Rams suddenly have a little bit of life with Baker, or they're going to be a little feisty at the end of the season? And how do the Raiders respond after giving that game away?
That's tough. I'd say fade them both.
Well, Rams are hosting Rams are at Green Bay on Monday Night Football.
Oh, I can't wait to watch that.
Yeah.
Too bad they can't flex out
guys,
Monday night, Matt.
Can we just
right?
have a dad's night that night instead and just do anything but
man.
watch that game?
We just hammer the under.
And then the Raiders are
hosting
Watson
Patriots.
anytime touchdown.
So the Raiders are hosting New England. That was supposed to be Sunday night. I think that got flexed out. What got flexed into that?
Commanders and Giants rematch from the tie.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's the one that got flexed in. So
that's going to be interesting. Did you guys see a line on that one yet? Is it probably Commanders minus a couple again?
It's Commanders minus 4.5 is what Westgate opened it.
Ooh, okay. Maybe Dad has to buy that after that ass whooping the Eagles just put on them.
Yeah, what is that? Yeah, 4.5. Boy,
So
total
they
is
just
40.
pushed last week.
Yeah, so it's 2.5 on the road, and it only goes up a point or 2 after a tie. Very interesting.
Well,
Especially after the Giants get their teeth kicked in today.
Well, the Giants were plus 2.5 at home. Oh, I said, okay, yeah, duh. I'm slow.
Anything else, you guys, on
We're all
anything else
drunk,
on
we're all having bourbon. It's a good day. Matt, what are you sipping? I saw you have some. Is that vodka?
I got a little vodka.
Okay.
What
Why am I empty now?
Yeah, we'll get out of here in a couple minutes. Any last takeaways or reactions from today's games? I think we touched on most of them.
Coach Shanahan says Debo likely has a high ankle sprain, so Christmas cometh early.
Yeah.
Dodge that major bullet.
Yeah, I'm shell shocked. I can't believe. I mean, guy, isn't that just quintessential football, Matthew? The Broncos, who are scum. We literally said on, like, me when I was picking this game, I'm thinking, 24-17, something like just hold the Chiefs. You're telling me Russ throws a pick 6 and the Chiefs score fucking 34? I'm going to cover. I'd say no chance.
Yeah.
And I don't know how the Broncos put up that many points. But again, don't overreact. Don't say the Chiefs are dog shit defense, because they just had a few fortunate plays and they broke that one after the second half for 70 yards and they scored 14 in the last few minutes. And funky game, but that's why we love this sport.
When my group was talking about that game, we all kind of liked Broncos and we ultimately didn't play it. Should have played that over Bucks. And we were wondering, okay, can Denver get to 14? If they can hold the Chiefs to 23, can Denver get to 14 to cover? And lo and behold, Patrick Mahomes those 3 interceptions. Denver ends up 28. They get the cover for the dads. You just love to see it. So, all right, guys, we'll get out of here. We'll be back on Wednesday to preview Week 15 in the NFL. So hopefully you guys had a good day today with your bets. Hopefully the Chargers come through and keep Joe above 500 for the week. and in a good position. Chris, just remind everybody what happens sometimes when you bet on poop.
You text the dads you're dead, and then they come back and cover the 9.5 after Russ has a bump on his head. Did you guys see that shit?
He was dead. Absolutely
Did
dead.
you guys see they
DED.
circled the bump?
I didn't see it. I was seeing Santa, but I saw it on my
My,
phone.
You have to look it up. They showed his head had a dot after he like
guy I work with, he said Russ thought he was Ciara there for a second. What do you got?
Yeah, he's laying there like
Am I back at NC State? Where am I? All right. We'll see you guys Wednesday. Have a good one.